Okay, John, we're starting a live stream. Do you want to just quickly introduce yourself and then talk about the topic, and then you and I can have a discussion about
Sure,
the issue?
sure. My name is John Norwood. I represent the California Pool and Spa Association. Um, we're very involved this year in the drought. And we do have a Let's Pull Together social media campaign out there to really try to educate the public about the facts about water use from pools and spas. For whatever reason, prior to the last drought, 2012 to 2016, many city urban water management plans had restrictions in them on filling new pools. We went to the Department of Water Resources, the state of California, and the Water Board, showed them all the information about water use by pools, and the state agreed to pull any of those restrictions out of their guidebook. Their guidebook teaches cities and counties how to develop urban water management plans, and they either recommend or mandate pool covers. The same is true of the Metropolitan Water District, which is the largest district in the state. So during the last drought, we were very successful throughout the state, in the media as well, and convincing many cities and counties to remove any type of restrictions on filling new pools, because pools frankly don't use very much water, and in the long term save water. Um, and what's disturbing about restrictions on filling pools, it's usually the only restriction in a urban water management plan that targets one industry. We're not prohibiting new hookups for new housing. Car washes that recycle their water actually use more water than it takes annually to fill new pools. And those kinds of restrictions are not in urban water management plans. We don't think it's really fair to target an industry, because if you don't serve water without a request at a restaurant, it doesn't put anybody out of business. But if you can't build a pool, it puts our pool builders, the subcontractors, the local suppliers, things like that. It's a pretty big economic hit for them. So again, we've been out trying to educate people about building new pools and spas. Usually you can take all the new pools that are going to be built in a certain city or county annually, and figure out how much water that it takes to fill those. And it usually comes in a fraction of 1% of the city or county's annual water use. So it's not very much. And at the same time, you're building something that every year after you build it saves about 30,000 gallons of water per year over the same space if it was if you were irrigating lawn or other type of landscaping. So I think that's a quick summary of where we're at with this. I guess I would just finish with saying the city of Palo Alto does have a restriction on filling new pools in stage 3 of your water contingency plan. I don't believe you're in stage 3 yet, but we're trying to educate beforehand, before you vote to implement stage 3, if and when that happens.
Okay, great. Thank you, John, for the summary. And so, John, how does Palo Alto's water policy differ from other cities in this regard?
Well, it really depends. It's in some cases similar to what other cities do, but in a lot of cities, given our work during the last drought, the cities have just removed any restriction on filling new pools. They do not let you dump water out of a pool for chemical reasons or things like that, and then refill it, because that'd be wasting water at a time when you can actually use reverse osmosis and clean that water, and you don't have to dump it. Also, in remodel projects, oftentimes the builder can take the water out of the pool and put it in a temporary above ground pool or in a tank or something like that and do the remodel, then put the water back in and save about 80% of the water. So some cities don't let you dump water and refill pools, which we totally agree with. But don't have any restrictions on filling new pools. And that's really the cities that don't have a restriction on filling new pools is consistent with the position of the Department of Water Resources, the Water Board, and the Association of California Water Agencies, actually.
So how about, let's be more specific. So compared to Mountain View, how does our policy differ?
I'd have to look at Mountain View. I mean, there's so, we're trying to deal with what, 483 cities in California, 58 counties, almost 700 public water districts and 200 private water districts. So we're I mean, it's really hard to follow what a city is doing. We have a company out of Washington, D.C. that monitors agendas. And anytime they see something relative to swimming pools and water on an agenda for a city, we get a notice. But given that most cities only have 72-hour, agenda notices, by the time we get it, it's only 24 hours or 12 hours before the meeting. So that's really how we do this. It's on a city by city basis. I could certainly try to look at Mountain View and get back to you. I'd have to look up their urban water management plan and then their water shortage contingency plan. And, each one usually has anywhere between 3 and 6 levels of conservation and, has various restrictions for each of those.
So what triggered Palo Alto to get on your radar?
Because we got a notice that you were having a vote on implementation of one of the stages of your water plan. I don't think it was stage 3 yet, but then we went and looked at your water plan and we noticed that in stage 3 there was a restriction on filling new pools. So we thought we would, you got our letter. We wanted to educate the city council members and the city leaders to the fact that, if and when you ever get to stage 3, we would ask that you remove that restriction.
So is this a agenda topic coming up in Palo Alto?
Yeah. So like I said, we only usually get, well, maybe you already had it. So when do you usually have your board meetings?
We have it every Monday.
Okay. So it might be tomorrow night. I'd have to, we did get, I think, a little bit earlier notice of this one. And, it's taken a few days to get on your agenda and that type of thing.
Okay. So I'm looking at the agenda for Tuesday. It's not on there. So let me look at Monday.
I should have looked it up. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no problem. I have it here. Monday, there's a lot of things on here. So
yeah, when we get the notice, it usually tells us, agenda item 21 or agenda item 7, and I have to go back to my computer to see it.
Okay. I think I might have found it here. Let me share my screen and you can tell me if this is it. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Do you see my screen?
Yeah, there we go.
Okay. So it could be this one here. This one here?
Yeah, well, yes, stage 2. You're doing stage 2.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of disappeared there, but
okay.
yeah,
So,
you're doing stage 2. So the restriction on filling pools is in your stage 3. So you're not there yet, but we just took the opportunity to start educating you on the fact that it was in stage 3.
okay. Okay. Did you look at this policy?
The one in stage 2, yes.
This one, okay. And what did you think of it?
And it's pretty consistent with what we've seen in other cities, and inconsistent with what the state put out in terms of, not washing a car without a hose bib, not serving water unless you need to, not doing towels and things in hotels unless requested, those types of things.
Okay. So do you agree that we should do what's recommended here, or do you think we should change it?
Yeah, no, I think what's in stage two, we're fine with.
Okay.
It's but in stage three, we would like to, have the restriction on filling new pools removed.
Okay. 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 And has there been any outreach to people in our city about stage three pools?
The only outreach, you kind of broke up a little bit. The only outreach we did is we sent the letter to, to you and all the city council members and the mayor, I think the city manager.
Okay, but there's been no, but is there any impact to people who already have pools? Is it just they can't fill it again? Is that mainly the impact?
Excuse me?
Oh, John, I think the connection's not good. I don't know. Sia, do you know if
I'm sorry,
can you hear me
didn't
okay?
quite hear
Is it-
that.
Is it me or is it
I
John?
can.
Okay. I'm not sure where the connection issue is, John.
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Oh,
I
okay.
can hear you
Um,
now. We just did. Okay.
So John, so the impact on pool owners right now it's just that they can't fill the pools with stage three, right?
Well, it wouldn't be put, this would be for only for new pools. And so homeowners, for instance, like right now, a lot of our members are in contract for pools out as far as January or February of next year. So we have contracts to build pools and we can't build those and not fill them. With regard to existing pools, stage three doesn't really affect a homeowner that has an existing pool.
I see.
You're other than you can't dump it for chemical reasons. Yeah, the real concern is that if you prohibit filling new pools, you put our members out of business, you interfere with the contracts that they have to build new pools for homeowners.
Okay. Okay, so this just affects people with new pools that might be built after stage three.
Right. And you can figure out, how much water it is. I mean, you figure out like how many permits were issued last year for new pools, and it's probably similar to this coming year. And you can figure out that it's 14 to 16,000 gallons of water to fill each pool, and figure, times that by the number of pools. And then you look at that compared to the annual water use by the city. I mean, you have to figure it out. You have to convert it into acre feet, but it's usually, like I said, a fraction of 1%. So it's really de minimis from that standpoint. And really, even when you build the pool, you have several months where there's no irrigation going on. You build it, you fill the pool, and even in the first year, with evaporation and things, you still save about 10,000 gallons over the space that you would otherwise irrigate. So it's pretty, the numbers are pretty good for us.
Do you know how many new pools Palo Alto has every year?
I don't. I haven't been. It's some cities are easy to look that up, and they have public information. And sometimes we have to go to the Department of Public Works and find out. I did not look that up yet, but I'm sure it'd be an easy request to the city manager from your standpoint.
Sure. Okay.
Because what happens is you take a average pool, the project, let's say, is 1,500 square feet. Well, that's 1,500 square feet the homeowner used to irrigate or would irrigate if there's not a pool there. When you build a pool, only about a third of that 1,500 square feet is water. So you're taking, just a simple math, you're taking 1,000 square feet of hardscape people that, do decks, patios, outside kitchens, this and that, you're taking that out of irrigation forever. And so it really, helps save water from that standpoint. If you mandate, let's say in stage 2 or 3, that all pool owners put a cover on their pool while it's not in use, these bubble covers, things like that, you save 97% of the evaporation. And then that pool becomes almost the same from a water standpoint as desert landscape.
Hmm.
So
I
that's
see.
one of the things you can do
Hmm.
is recommend or kind of mandate that people put covers on their pool. And that is consistent with what Metropolitan Water District does down in Southern California. It's consistent with what the state Department of Water Resources recommends.
Okay. Okay. Makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah, we also have some tips that we've published for existing pool and hot tub owners that help them save water, things that they can do to save water. And we'd be happy to share those with you or your staff. I could have my staff send them to somebody tomorrow, and you can put those in a newsletter. You can put it, this and that, and it'll help people. For instance, turning off water features like waterfalls and things like that, that just causes, loss. Checking people have auto fills so their pool doesn't get down, checking, make sure that there's no leaks or your auto fill is working properly.
Hmm.
It's pretty simple things to do.
So, are the number of pools increasing in general, or are they decreasing? Do you know?
Yeah, they're actually increasing since the last drought. The industry's been hitting records almost every year. And I think part of it was due to COVID because, people were staying home. Two things happened. One, house prices went way up
Hmm.
and people build pools and do remodels when they have equity in their homes. So that was one thing that really happened. Secondly, with COVID, people were staying home. And I think it became, much more appealing, to have a kind of a staycation in your backyard, to have a backyard with a pool, with a outdoor kitchen, with a hot tub or a fire pit or whatever the case may be, so that there was a place to both exercise and relax with the family.
Interesting. Okay, cool. Looking at the current water policy, do you see do you have any recommendations for us besides the pool issue?
Yeah, the only recommendation I would have is that you could, it's just the cover issue. And then, I think that would be very helpful because now you take all the pools in your area and you reduce the evaporation by, quite a bit. If people, that's a simple thing. They're not real expensive for a bubble cover.
Hmm.
And I think a lot of people will do that because they want to contribute.
Doesn't it also make the water warmer? So it's probably nicer to
Oh,
swim
yeah.
in.
Oh, yeah. It will warm the water up for sure.
Hmm. Okay.
And that's a big thing in your part of the state because you have that cool breeze from the ocean there. So that's a big deal. Especially if it really helps from a solar standpoint. In your area for hot tubs and a little bit for pools, you probably have to use gas heaters.
Okay, cool. Okay, John, anything else that we should discuss?
No, that I think that gets my list. Like I said before, I'm happy to send some information to you that you guys can use with your pool and hot tub owners, and help us all contribute.
Sure. Yeah, if you send that info to Sia, she could also, with the live stream, she will update the summary, and she can
Okay.
also put some of the links and some of the findings that
Okay.
you have that might help other people.
And what's her email address?
She could probably email it to you, and you can send
Okay,
it to her.
that's great. Yeah, you get mine on there. That'd be wonderful. Be happy to do that. I really appreciate you taking the time.
Sure, of course. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
All right.
bye-bye.